Thank you. Great to see everybody. I appreciate it. I'm going to talk to you a little bit.
Dude,
that's
it's
like
still on.
a little bit.
Huh? That filter is still on.
Like a normal person.
Just on Jeff.
Right? I'm going to talk a little bit about where I'm from and what I stand for and some of the ideas I have. I really think this needs to be an election about ideas about the future of the country, around education, around the economy, around some other things. So, as the chairman said, I'm from Northeast Ohio. I've been in Congress. This is my 17th year. I was in the Ohio State Senate for 2 years. It was a 4-year term. For the middle of that term, they redid the congressional districts, and I ran. And my district now includes Youngstown, Ohio, which is right on the Pennsylvania border, and Akron, Ohio, and all points in between. So Kent State is in my district, University of Akron, Youngstown State. We have 2 community colleges. Really love the district. It's where I grew up, and for the most part, I've been focused throughout my time in Congress really on helping my district. I mean, I came from a place that's a lot like the towns in Iowa and other places in the industrial Midwest where the young people left. They just lost opportunity. We lost factories, we lost the steel mills, the auto plants closed, manufacturing base eroded. So the young people left. They went to Columbus, they went to Charlotte, they went down south, they went everywhere but stay home. And so when I got into politics, the reason I got in was to try to really rebuild the communities that I came from, and played high school football and basketball and played in all of these communities. And we were all kind of in the same boat. So I ran initially just stone cold focus on how do we plug this community back into the global economy, things were changing. And that's why I got into politics. It was very, very localized. And so I've been in for 17 years. My wife, Andrea, is from a town not far away. And she brought 2 kids to the marriage. Mason is 16 now. Bella is 15. And Brady is 5. So Brady's our new little guy. I call him the family mascot. He's got a big head of curly blonde hair. And we have 2 dogs that keep everybody occupied. They go in and out of the house 39 different times in one day. Okay? So if you want to sit and relax, it's not the place to do it. Anyway, long story short, I've been very, very focused on trying to get the Democratic Party focused on working class issues. I know the president says that the stock market's up and the unemployment rate is low, but still the vast majority of the people in the United States are struggling to make it. Whether it's health care, whether it's jobs, everybody has a job nowadays. Some have 2 or 3 jobs just to try to make ends meet. And I want us to get to the point as a party to start talking about the future of the economy and how we cut workers in on the deal. And I voted for the $15 minimum wage a couple weeks ago. I'm for it. But I don't think that's our aspiration as a party. We need to figure out how we drive the economy and create jobs that pay $30, $40, $50 an hour again. And I feel like we're having a conversation today putting Band-Aids on the problems. And I support a lot of the Band-Aids, right? How do we make college more affordable? How do we make child care more affordable? How do we make health care more affordable? I support all of these different things. But to me, the question is, which party is going to help plug the American working class family back into the economy? Because where I come from, and I think it's a lot like here, people want a job. They want a good paying job. They don't want, they'll pay for their child care. They'll help their kids go to college, but they want a good paying job to do that. And like I said, I'm not against the Band-Aids, but the main issue is work. And so I want to talk about 3 issues real quick that I think are going to be transformational for our country. The first one is, one of the first things I'll do is create a chief manufacturing officer. I talked a little bit about this during the debate the other night. This chief manufacturing officer will report directly to me. And I want this person to position us in front of the areas of the economy that are growing. So electric vehicles, I talked about the other night. There's going to be 10 million electric vehicles made in the next 10 years, somewhere in the world. I want half of those to be made in the United States. There's batteries that need to be in the electric vehicles. I want the batteries made in the United States. There's charging stations that are going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry on all places you're going to be able to charge your electric vehicle. I want those made in the United States and exported to the world. The chief manufacturing officer will take this issue, this sector of the economy, and pull in the Department of Energy, pull in the Department of Transportation, pull in the research institutions, pull in the investors in the business class, the emerging electric vehicle companies. And how do we say as a country we are going to dominate this industry, period? And this person's going to report directly to me. Guy who comes from Youngstown, Ohio, who wants to make things. This is what we're going to do, okay? And so the beauty of this is we can start making some headway if we're focused and if we're organized. Right now, China dominates 50 to 60% of the electric vehicle industry. I want to do the same thing with the solar industry. Same thing. Another plan, pull in the Department of Energy, pull in the investors, pull in venture capital, drive it. How do we dominate the solar panel industry where we're making solar panels? You know who dominates that now? China. They dominate 60% of the solar panel market. I want to do it with wind. I want to do it with artificial intelligence. I want to do it with additive manufacturing, 3D printing. And just drive. And this person reports directly to me, and we make sure we cut workers in on the deal. I want to double union membership in the country to make sure that these jobs are good-paying, middle-class jobs. You allow people to organize, they'll get themselves a good wage, they'll get themselves good health care, they'll get themselves a good pension and a good retirement. And I will support all of that through the Department of Labor. So create these good jobs of the future. Now, all of these industries are growing at 25 to 30% a year. So I come from Youngstown, and we used to be one of the largest steel producing areas in the world at one point. We sent a few good football players over to Iowa over the years. Stupid brothers, Matt Campbell, just so you know. I don't know who's a fan. I can't figure out the Iowa sports fan issue yet here. It's very confusing to me.
Even more so around here.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah, right. Now you got Nebraska.
So you got Fellini now. You're stuck with him now, right?
Who's a great guy. Pretty normal about 90% of the time. He's a great guy until the
50%.
But anyway, I'll tell you a quick story. In Youngstown in the 70s, when the steel industry collapsed, the technology in the steel was pre-World War I technology. Okay? The steel industry put its head in the sand. The country put its head in the sand. Thought we were just going to ride this out. It was going to be great. And we got killed. We're still recovering from that. And I think we're at the same point today with all of this new technology. We hear about machine learning and artificial intelligence and all these things. We got two choices. One is we let China continue to dominate these industries in the vehicles and the solar and all of these new technologies. Or we grab it and we dominate them. Now, I don't think anybody does know what the future holds in these, but I tell you what, as a country, I would much rather be in the position of the country that's dominating the technologies and gets the benefits, the immediate benefits from dominating those technologies, than letting China dominate those technologies and we're left holding the bag and no control over it. And how do we force these industries to grow here in the United States? And that's the goal of the Chief Manufacturing Officer, and that's how we cut the workers in on the deal. I'll talk healthcare real quick, and then I actually want to talk about rural America and farming quickly. With healthcare, I have been on the single-payer bill since 2007. I tell all the young people I was on it before it was cool to be on it. But I don't think we should be in the business of taking people's private health insurance away. I think that is right. I think we have a lot of friends with labor who have negotiated really good contracts and given up wages and gotten themselves some pretty good health care. And I really don't think either philosophically or politically we should be saying, here comes some people from Washington that are going to tell you in your union that we're going to give you a better deal. Now, we've got to figure out how to get everybody coverage. We've got to figure out how to make the system more efficient, and that unions need to be at the table having that discussion. So we're not taking private insurance, but we can figure out how we move down the line on this stuff. That's one conversation. The entire conversation in our party right now in this election is about the insurance, right? Health insurance, which is important. We need to make sure that it's affordable, accessible, quality, has mental health coverage, and all the rest. But 75% of our healthcare costs today are for chronic diseases diseases that are largely preventable. Like $3.7 trillion direct and indirect impact of chronic diseases that are preventable. Now, if you're a business person, I sit on the appropriations committee, so we do all the expenditures for the government. If you're sitting here looking at the spreadsheet and you're trying to figure out, okay, where can we save some money? Right? We have $1 trillion deficit that nobody's talking about. $1 trillion a year, 22 trillion, and then $1 trillion a year after the Trump tax cut. On and on and on, 2 wars and everything else. $1 trillion a year. So if you're looking to save money, and you have diseases that you could reverse, and this is what I want our party to be. Right now, half the country has either diabetes or pre-diabetes. Okay, and a diabetic costs about $14,000 a year. Type 2, about $14,000 a year. We now have ample evidence. It's happening all over the country. In fact, I met a woman in Iowa 2 weeks ago where we are reversing type 2 diabetes with using food as medicine and small interventions and support for people who have diabetes. It's about a $5,000 to $10,000 one-time investment as opposed to $14,000 a year forever. And all I'm saying is we can't have a disease care system where we just wait till everybody gets really sick and then the pharmaceutical companies come in and make a bunch of money and the health companies come in and make a bunch of money, and now we're in a place where we spend 2.5 times as much as every other industrialized country on healthcare and we get the worst results. Like, am I missing something here? What's the strategy moving forward? And we've had this healthcare discussion going on now for how many years, and nobody is talking about how we get healthy in the country. Like, and I try to tell people, look, I'm not a prude, right? I've been on the road for 10 days. You know the first thing I do when I go home? I open up the freezer and I look for ice cream. Okay? That's what I do. We got this local, it handles ice cream. Local Youngstown woman started many, many years ago. We got a bunch around town, like a lot of communities do. And I take the kids and I say, let's go get an ice cream cone, and we come back with quarts of ice cream. Okay? Like, I'm not a prude. I drink beer and watch the Cleveland Browns. Okay? Now, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you probably need hard liquor. Stick with the beer. Hopefully, we're turning things around. But the reality of it is, we've got to get healthy. And if we're smart human beings and we want our people to be healthy, and we now see examples all over the country of using food as medicine to reverse type 2 diabetes, to reverse heart disease, reverse high blood pressure, using food. And like I said, you can cheat, but for 80% of the time, I met a woman, she lost 89 pounds and has reversed 80% of her type 2 diabetes. She went, I can't remember how many prescriptions she was on. She's down to 1. She said, I'm down to my final pill, and in the next few months, I want to be off. Savings. You want to take on the pharmaceutical companies? You want to do this with them? I'd rather do some jujitsu and say, we're all going to get healthy, and then you guys can go pound salt, because we're not going to need you. And then we'll have money left for the people who are sick, and you can't reverse it, and they need help, and they need money, and they need prescription drugs. Then we'll have the money to be able to take care of them. So food is medicine, and this ties into a huge reform proposal I have around agriculture. And I want us to move from our industrial ag system that we have today to regenerative agriculture. And regenerative agriculture is a process where you dramatically reduce the amount of pesticides you use. You use cover crops. I'm in Iowa, so we can get into this a little bit, I guess, but you use cover crops in the winter. You don't till the soil, and it actually captures carbon because you take plants that die and you grow new ones. You do the cover crops in the winter, and you literally pull carbon into the soil. So this can be a huge benefit in reversing climate change. So we're doing electric vehicles, we're doing solar, we're doing wind, right? We're going to build things, cut the workers in around reversing climate change, and then have a huge ag proposal where we're using regenerative ag to sequester carbon and put it in the soil. And I will tell you that some of the only farmers in the country today that are making money are regenerative agriculture farmers, because they dramatically reduce the pesticides that they're putting and the inputs that they have to put on the farm. just say lastly, we see today we kill 220,000 metric tons of fish in the Gulf of Mexico every year. 220,000 metric tons of fish every year in the Gulf of Mexico from the runoff of the nitrogen and the pesticides and everything. And what I want us to be, as you can see on all of these issues, I want our party to be progressive. I want us to solve problems that people have today. And if we have a new system that is good for the environment, we have algae blooms in the Great Lakes, algae blooms in Lake Okeechobee. We're killing fish. I don't know about around here, but they tell us in Ohio, don't eat any more than 2 fish out of this river a month. And I think to myself, if I can't eat more than 2 fish out of this river, why do I want to eat any fish out of this river, right? Especially if you're with kids. And so it's good for the environment. The farmers make money, and what it does too is the soil becomes more porous. Right now the soil is really hard because we till it and spray it with pesticides that are oil-based. This actually pulls carbon in the soil, makes it more porous, and so the soil is more resilient to flooding and rain because it holds more. So for every 1% increase in organic matter of an acre of land, it holds another 27,000 gallons of water. So if we're doing this all across the industrial Midwest, the water's not going to run into the rivers and cause flooding. It's actually going to be held in the soil. So when you're looking at the economy, when you're looking at farming, when you're looking at healthcare, and lastly, I would just say on education, definitely want to talk about this for just a minute. We've got to address the issue of trauma with our kids. Our kids are coming to school with a great deal of trauma. And we got to get away from test scores, to how do we take care of these kids. And so I released my education proposal that puts a mental health counselor in every single school that needs one. After school programs, summer school programs, art therapy, music therapy, play therapy. We're going to get right at the trauma, which we know affects the kids' ability to learn. We're going to put social and emotional learning in every school, which is helpful to the kids. Now just say, when you put a strong social and emotional learning program in every school, you see an 11 percentile point increase in test scores. You see a 10% increase in good behavior, a 10% decrease in antisocial behavior. You literally close the achievement gap, and you have a 20% swing in the mood of the school. This is the future. So anyway, I'm happy to answer questions about any of this, but I just want you to know, I'm not real happy with the left, right. Democrats, we're going to win new and better. Doing better around education, doing better around ag, doing better around healthcare, doing better around the economy. And if we're the party of new and better, and we leave this left-right polarized environment that the American people are exhausted with, I'm exhausted with. I'm sure you're all exhausted. It's like, where are you at on the political spectrum? Are you left? Are you center left? Are you a moderate? Are you like? Let's just solve problems, right? Let's be the party that solves these big problems. So anyway, happy to take any questions.
I'd love Scott Pottawattamie. So I come from labor. Very passionate about labor issues. I know you touched briefly on the right to organize a little bit. Would like you to maybe elaborate a little bit more. I believe you've co-sponsored the PRO Act, which is I believe a great bill. If you could talk a little bit more about that, your beliefs. Yes, car checks, and just the playing field is not fair right now to organize people for people to join unions. It's way slanted in the favor of business. They can do all kinds of illegal tactics. So that's what the PRO Act would do, try to balance that field. And also, if you would touch a little bit on the USMCA, what your take is on it is NAFTA 2.0 basically, and how that needs to be fixed to make it a better trade deal, a fairer trade deal. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm a little biased when it comes to unions. My great-grandfather was a steel worker. My grandfather was a steel worker. My mom was in ASME. My wife is a teacher, American Federation of Teachers. She's a first grade school teacher. And so when you look at the economy over the last 40 years, and you see that wages have been stagnant for the bottom 60%, they've grown very little for the next 20%, and all the gains have been really at the top. And you see deregulation, globalization, automation. If you don't have strong unions, and somewhere in that economy to level the playing field, you're going to get what we got. And so I support card check. I voted for it back in 2007, 8, something like that. And we got to continue to support things like card check to make it very easy for people to unionize and workers to unionize without the burden of the business coming in. I just sat with some Delta workers in Detroit. We're up to the debate, and the Delta's squeezing their workers there. And they're trying to organize, and the Republicans snuck something in one of the bills a few years ago that says you need 50% of your people to vote to have an election to unionize in the airline industry, and it used to be 30% for everybody else. So they rigged the system so that you can't organize in the airline industry. And so these are the kind of things you're talking about really skewing things against the worker. I will tell you, I will appoint a pro-labor Secretary of Labor that will use every ounce of power that we have in the government to try to rebalance this thing out. I mean, we talk about taxes and all the other stuff, but if you don't have somebody on the ground with these organizational drives, then it becomes very, very difficult. Second thing on the trade agreement, this is another thing. We got wiped out. I know this trade and Irish was kind of a complicated thing, but we got wiped out from NAFTA in my area where I come from. My cousin Donnie literally he worked at Delphi, which supplied General Motors. He literally had to unbolt, this was one of his last days of work, unbolt a machine from the factory floor, put it in a box, and ship it to China. That was his last act. Union guy, Vietnam vet, yeah. And so we've got to figure out another way to balance out trade. We've got about a $419 billion trade deficit with China right now. $419 billion. So we've got, even with Trump and the tariffs and everything, he's destabilizing things. So we've got to figure out a long-term strategy. Now, the renegotiation of NAFTA I don't support because it doesn't have provisions in there to enforce labor law. It has laws on the books to help labor, but it doesn't have any enforcement provisions on it. So what's the use, right? You got laws but no cops. You know, who cares?
Yep.
And so I'm not going to support it. And the pharmaceutical industry had a big part in rewriting the new NAFTA so that they can benefit from patents and everything else. So it's really, again, it is rigged. It is rigged. And the thing for me is, like, we've got to go to the American people with some new ideas about how we're going to get out of this mess and how we're going to move forward. And on all the things I explained to you with the ag piece, I will tell you with the regenerative ag, there are farmers, I told you they're making money. They are sequestering a ton of carbon. And a lot of them don't even believe that climate change is man-made. So I don't care, right? I want carbon in the soil. And this is what I'm saying. We've got to be a little more sophisticated politically to say, look, they're not taking crop insurance, right? Because they're making money and they don't want to take it because they're playing another game. And they want to sequester carbon, and they're not using pesticides for the most part. They're not using antibiotics on their cattle. The food's healthy and it's real food. So let's build a coalition with them, right? Social and emotional learning in the schools has the support of the Brookings Institution, which is a very left-leaning think tank, and the American Enterprise Institution, which is a right-wing think tank. They all agree on my proposal around trauma-based care and social and emotional learning. Can we please move on that? Like using food as medicine to reverse the disease. Like, is that left or right, or what? Get healthy. I think it can have an appeal for everybody. And so all of these issues, I think you should be presenting things not that are so polarizing that are never going to get 60 votes in the Senate. Never. I mean, I've been doing this 17 years. Like I said, it's like 103 dog years, right? I've been doing this a long time. I came in, we just started the war in Iraq, which I campaigned against when I was running. We were in the minority and Bush was president. Then Bush was president and we won the House back in 6, 7, 8, right? So I was Republican president, I was in the majority in Democratic Congress. Then President Obama came in. We had all levers of government. Then we lost Congress in 2010, right? And then Trump came in 16. And we lost everything. And then in 18, we're back in charge. I've seen this whole back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I think we need to present these new ideas, move forward with them, give the American people realistic. We got to build trust again with the people. Like, we've got to build trust. And I think moving forward on some of these things could be really, really helpful. Yes, sir.
Not so much a question as a comment. You just mentioned President Trump. He was just in here, Steve. He was just in Ohio yesterday, in Cincinnati. He said, it had nothing to do with his whole speech. He said Ohio loves him, but he didn't mention, I think, the North-South plan. So,
Yeah.
It's as much a comment as a question.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trump's the master of telling you what he wants you to think. You know? Because I think he has to tell himself first, and then he just keeps it going.
When you're on the stage with him, how will you be effective in exposing this P.T. Barnum? What specifically will you do to bring around the stage that every one of you said we're all better than the current president we had, but we end up shooting ourselves in the circular firing squad?
Yeah.
How will you be effective against P.T. Barnum dangling the silver medals over here or the bait over here? What do you have a plan to be effective against him one-on-one?
Yeah, I think I'm the best person to do this because I'm from the state and the community that he made the biggest about the value on the economy. Not on all this other stuff. On the economy, he said, I'm going to bring the factories back. I'm going to bring the steel mills back. I'm going to open up the coal mines. Those are my people. And they're white, they're black, they're brown, and they're workers. And he lied directly to them. And I said about 3 weeks before the election, I said, he will gut you, and he will walk over your cold dead body, and not even flinch. And all the national reporters said, that was a little harsh, Congressman. That's been his career. Go to Atlantic City, right? All the way back. And when we get off of that focus, because that's his Achilles heel. And I think, quite frankly, I think he's walking into the same trap that Secretary Clinton walked into when we were all talking about, she was talking about how great the economy is. And we've got to keep this economy going, right? And people in Ohio are going like, is it going well? Because I'm missing this. Like, I'm working, but I'm not getting ahead. And I think Trump's doing the same thing right now. So to have a candidate who can go, boom, you were in my district, Mr. Trump. You said you were going to bring the steel mills back. Guess what happened? General Motors lost 4,000 jobs in your term. The first shift we lost the day you were inaugurated. The second shift, the third shift, and you didn't even say a word about it, right? And then we lost the trucking company. And they text the truckers, the truck drivers, on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock. They send them a text message. Pack up your things. Leave your truck wherever it is. That was the ripple, right? Put me on a stage with him. I feel like a junkyard dog on him. He is not getting away from me. And I will tell you, I think that's the way we be.
Yeah, you need to, and I think you can do it.
It's not even, I've been saying this, and I'm not like, there's problems everywhere. I go to LA, I went to see there's big tent cities of homeless people. We're going out to Vegas tomorrow. We're going to go see some homeless people out there. It's not just Ohio, it's everywhere. But I think if we shift the center of gravity of our party, which is largely perceived now by most of the country as coastal and Ivy League. Now, I am not coastal. I'm smart, but I'm not Ivy League, okay? And while that's made it, I got a longer run up because I don't have like an Ivy League network that send me $20 million within the first 2 months while I'm building. But I'm from the area of the country that gives us a new brand, which I think we desperately need. And I also think if I'm the top of the ticket and we're trying to win these Senate races, let's look at where the Senate races are, right? We got one here. There's an open one in Kansas. There is an open one in North Carolina. Lindsey Graham is up in South Carolina, and Mitch McConnell is up. Mitch McConnell is up in Kentucky, right? So just imagine who is the best person in those states to be at the top of the ticket talking about electric vehicles and we're gonna build them and we're gonna reform healthcare and do it in a balanced way. And we've got bipartisan education reform that's supported across the board. And we've got Republican farmers supporting Tim Ryan because he's thinking about the future of agriculture in a comprehensive way. All of my plans are really holistic. We can beat Mitch McConnell. He's underwater right now. But if we get way out here on some of these issues, we're going to get creamed. If we're confiscating people's private health insurance, then I'm trying to be like, I'm from Youngstown. I'm just telling you what I think, and I'm telling you what all my buddies who work in the steel mills or are teachers, what they think. And what my wife thinks. Like, all we got is healthcare. Like, the world's collapsing around workers in America, and all these workers have is their healthcare that they negotiate. And we're going to go from being a party to expand healthcare to the party to take it. That, to me, is a really dangerous proposition.
Tim,
But anyway, in short, I'll kick his ass. Go ahead.
anyway, I'm from labor as well. I eat, drink, and sleep labor, and the most important issue to me, almost always. I've asked probably 15 different candidates that I've seen here in Concept Bluffs, presidential candidates, the same question. What would you do to help make labor relevant again? I'm not going to waste my time with you. I'm always skeptical. I've been tricked before from the Democratic Party about labor. I'm not tricked by you. I believe you, first of all. My question is, I have a couple questions. 2 years ago, here in the state of Iowa, the public employees in the state of Iowa lost their right to collective bargain. Mr. McConkey here fought like hell for that to stop it. It didn't happen. Is there anything that you could do if you were to become president to somehow stop some of these goofy cuckoo states from attacking public workers? That's my first question. Second of all, I'm a plumber. I went to apprenticeship school for 5 years. I went to school as long as some doctors and dentists did. They're attacking my apprenticeship, the way my apprenticeship is with the IRAPs. I don't know if you know much about that, but and I'd love to talk to you briefly after. But basically, they're trying to dummy down our apprenticeship schooling for the union trades to.
Who is the state?
It's a national.
Yeah, national.
It's a national deal
Through the states.
for the states, and basically to dummy down the education and the requirements for my license, which would eventually dummy down my wages. I just want to see, I guess, my first question about the state, that, and then talk about the other.
So, for federal employees, which I will have vastly more to say and have influence over how we do them. I'm a huge guy, so we're going to make sure we take care of workers. I want to make sure that we are not belittling government workers. I think we need to reform government. I think government is broken. These systems are very inefficient. But the workers are going to be the ones who are going to help us get out of them. I mean, you treat them with respect. They're on the team, right? I mean, we're all trying to achieve certain things, and you treat them with respect. Whether they're working in the federal prison or they're working in the bureaucracy somewhere. And so, no question there about how they're going to get treated. When you talk about state right to work, I led the charge in Ohio in 2011. When John Kasich came in, he tried to make Ohio a right to work state. It included police and fire. And I was one of the lead campaigners against that all around the state. It's called Senate Bill 5. They passed it, and then we put it on the ballot to do an initiative to take it off. And it was very instructive to me, but it was a lot of fun. We had like cops and teachers, like with me, knocking on doors all over Ohio. Like, we pulled the working class people together. Building and construction trades, nurses, was awesome. We won 63% of the vote. Okay, and you saw Missouri did the same thing.
Yes.
They had 69% of the vote. When we talk about work and workers, we unite the whole damn country, right?
Right.
63% in Ohio. So why do we want to campaign against Trump on all these issues that the country's divided on? Deeply divided. I mean, some of them, of course, on race and the way he behaved, of course, we're going to take a firm position on that. But let's say you have failed the American worker. You're still not getting ahead. Campaign on that. So pulling that coalition together is something I think I can do. We're one of the counties in rural Ohio that we got drilled in. And I know your last year in rural race, you lost a lot in rural Ohio. But if we start talking about these working class issues, we can really pull this back together. And I will use the presidency. I will tell you this. Here's the promise I'll make. Try not to make too many promises. But I will promise you this. If there's a right to work initiative on the ballot that we're campaigning for as Democrats, I will be the president who goes and campaigns in that state for a right to work initiative. Against the right to work. No question. We got to get on the ground like we should have done that in Wisconsin. You know, when they lost. And it was there, but we got to let people know we're going to be there with them in the fight. And like Trump, a lot of people think he's with them, and so they look past other things. So if we have disagreements on social issues with workers, but they know you're there with them every single day in the working class fight, like this issue that we disagree on, like fifth on my list, but I know Tim Ryan is there. The unions at stake, my job's at stake, my wages are at stake, hospitals are closing, teachers aren't getting raises. Tim Ryan's there. And I think that coffee in that. All the others. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you go ahead.
So, I read that you co-sponsor a bill from a representative in Oregon that eliminates the pre-funding requirements for the post office. I think it's a great thing. I'm wondering, one, I don't think it goes far enough. I think we also need to expand the services that the post office can provide. They're in every rural area. They have a far reach. I want to know your opinion on the future of the post office as a way to connect rural America to federal services. Right now, they're kind of hamstrung by two other things. One being the products they can offer. You know, they're just in mail. We can expand their services, and two, they're kind of hamstrung on their rates. You know, as far as with so much competition in a dynamic market, need probably a little more latitude in their rate changes. What do you think the future is of the post office, especially in delivering federal services to rural areas?
I think we're on the same page.
I don't know what I've got on there.
Right? How do you take this organization and make it new and make it better? And it already has a footprint all over the country in the rural communities. So the talk of banking services and those kind of things, I'm all for it. Let's say, let's get some proposals together, let's get it through Congress, let's have a committee, let's vet this thing. I'm a congressman, right? I've been in the House 17 years. I want to put this stuff through the committee process. Sorry, I keep going like a block here. But we put this through the committee process because what we have in Congress, I know it's hard to believe from the national perception, but you have committees of people that are experts in this realm. And that's why moving away from the committee process, and those of you who work in the state legislatures know this, like get the experts to vet this thing so when the product comes out, it has Republicans, it has Democrats, it comes out, and it has integrity. You know what I mean? It can withstand the test of time because it's got both parties. So I'm all for a huge postal reform proposal. I'd love to chat with you more about it, but that's what I want Democrats to be. New and better. Okay? Let the Republicans talk about, this bloated postal service, government, blah, blah, blah. Get out of here. It's like new and better. We're going to reform it. And then all of a sudden, we're in rural America. Democrats reform the postal service. Moderate, independent, conservative Republicans are now see the government working in their community in a beneficial way that helps them in their own life every single day. And they're going to say, the Democrats did that. Now all of a sudden, farmers start making money because Tim Ryan's administration helped them convert into regenerative ag, and if they needed some money to transition, we helped them. And now they went from 5 years of not making any money to making money. Who did that? Tim Ryan's administration did that. Maybe I am a Democrat. At least I'm going to vote for this guy, and then if he comes to campaign for senator, and I put my arms around him and say, you need to vote for this person because they're going to help us build on what we just did for you in rural America, they're going to go, okay. And over time, you build that FDR coalition.
Yeah.
If articles of impeachment came to the floor, if it went through the committee process, I would vote for it. I voted against it because it went right to the floor. And I just, again, a little bit old school. I'm for impeachment. I think you obstructed justice 5 or 6 different times. But when you impeach a president, it should go through the process of the committee. And we need to bring the American people along. Most people aren't really paying attention. Let them come along, let the committee process happen, do it the right way, and I'll surely vote for it on the floor. I've already kind of come up with my own opinion, but I feel like we've got to get back to some process, like I was talking about the committee process. I think that's really important, and I think it gives a better product in the end, and you got a lot more credibility. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But a lot of it, some of the Democrats are slowly giving government. I think we're trying to rehabilitate by forgiving for all the stuff that you but free education is I think good idea. Maybe
We're going to get into forgiving things. I have a long list of tasks. No. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Well,
curious what you think we should be doing.
so if you add up all of the proposals that are out there right now, there's about $80 trillion in spending in the next 10 years. Trillion with a T. So we've got to be very smart on like, okay, how do we position our economy? How do we help working class people on all these issues? My proposal with, and I'm on the bills to say, basically, we have K through 12 is free now, right? That was for the old economy. For the new economy, 90% of the new jobs go to people who have an additional, good jobs, additional at least year, 6 months, year, certification, something after high school. So I think we need to move towards a universal system. Again, go through the committee process, let's see how we can build it up. But we've got to get to a 2-year degree that's free. Remove all economic barriers for the first year, any certifications, any 2 years. So you move down that road because we got to do that, and then we're talking about loan forgiveness. So I think for the student loans, what we should do is allow them to renegotiate the rate down. So get the rate. My wife, who's got student loans, she got a master's degree in public health. We're still paying her loans off. So some of these loans, 7%, 8%, 9%, and it's like, wait, you get a mortgage or a personal loan, it's a lot cheaper. So I could get that rate down to 1, 2, 3%, more manageable. I think for public service, people you forgive after a certain amount of years, you cap how much they can pay when you're not a social worker, you're a teacher, if you're a cop, if you're a firefighter. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I'm sucking up. That's right. I'm a firefighter. So reduce that rate down, give people more money, pay their principal down, or put it in their pocket, or whatever would be good for the economy. So how do we take these steps that get everything at once? Like, okay, what are the strategic investments we can make that are really going to help the middle class and that are going to be good for the economy? And I think the 2-year deal, along with loan forgiveness down, is probably the best thing. We still got $1 trillion debt. We do have to try to raise taxes from the top 1%. So what does all of that look like? And we need an infrastructure bill. Like we got to rebuild the country. So we've got all these things that we have to do. And how do we do that in a balanced way and start paying down some of the debt? So we got to be just really smart on how to do it.
Congressman, we have time for one more question.
All right, I'll do 2. You?
Okay, and I don't want you to
you have a pad and pen and she has a camera, and I want both of you to be kind to me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Something that I gotta ask for one of them. Very huge issue with global warming.
Yeah.
Climate change.
Yeah.
It seems like it gets neglected around election time because nobody wants to say the wrong thing, or it's obviously a multifaceted issue. What is your number one plan to address it?
What I really like about my ideas, which candidate doesn't say that? My ideas are so good. I'm gonna tell you. I think they're really good. Let me just tell you, no. When you talk about the economy, like, we don't have to have separate conversations. The conversation is around, we build and we grow our way out of this climate issue. And we do it by building electric vehicles, building wind, building solar, building batteries, building charging stations. That's how we move in the building side of things, and we cut workers in. So it's a win-win. Win for the environment, win for workers. And then with the ag piece, the more research that comes in, the more significant we're learning the impact of regenerative agriculture can be in sequestering carbon. So you're hitting it both from the industry side and the farming side. And farmers are making money, workers are making money. This is what I'm saying, like, we can do this. This is not rocket science. It just takes some leadership and some new ideas and a little bit of imagination and a little bit of, like, let's do it, And so that's the plan. So what I like about it is we could go to Youngstown, Ohio, or Gary, Indiana, and talk about jobs and work and building cars and building batteries. And we're talking about climate, but we're not jamming climate down anybody's throat who doesn't have. Somebody yelled at me when I did this. My people that I represent, they don't have the bandwidth to worry about climate change. Oh my God, they don't have to. You know why? Because they just lost their job. They're worried about a dinner on the table and how they're going to take care of their kids and how they're going to pay their mortgage and their car payment. So forgive them for not worrying about sea level rising. But if we could go to them with a really strong agenda around building things and putting them back to work and doubling union membership and taking care of the climate issue, to me that's the winner. That's the stone cold winner. Because we can campaign anywhere in the United States on that agenda to achieve our progressive goals, both with workers and the environment.
You say you're on board with the Green New Deal?
Parts of it. I'm not in for the universal basic income. I'm not in for the good job here. But the idea around farming and you got to do it, yeah, a Green New Deal. I mean, I gave you my Green New Deal. That's it. But I think most people are ignoring this agriculture piece. And it's a winner for us. And just to add on to it, we're going to be proposing a huge ag initiative where we're rebuilding our downtowns. It's going to be urban, small, mid-sized towns. How do we renovate theaters? Because I represent a lot of these towns, and a couple of them I've been able to bring money back to, like river walks, bike trails, and renovate things downtown and use historic tax credits. Like, we got to build a community back up in our downtowns, and public swimming pools, and how do we just get the communities back up and running, especially our downtowns, the small, mid-sized ones in rural America, small towns like Ohio. They need a little help because they lost their tax base. But also the side of you put in a river walk, right? You put in an amphitheater, you put in a bike trail, you redo a park. All of a sudden, here comes some local business wants to do a craft brewery, right? Now you got a coffee shop. Now you got a gas club. Now then you start building community again. You get affordable housing in your town. To me, that's the future. So you're taking care of
I want to look across the same way. It's like, they're cutting into that. They're taking the
build Afghanistan and Iraq. Certainly rebuild the United
cultural.
States. Yes. Last question.
There was a
Go easy on
Iowa. There was a seed money. Yeah. No. Okay. Sure. Well, basically, what it basically has to be ground out. It has to be local politics. It goes from school board, city council,
Yeah. Wow.
supervisors, all that.
It's a bridge too far. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
phase two because the Monsanto is screwed around with it.
Yeah.
So it's like go back to the whole real food, stop messing with it, and renewing, they did some crop rotation and they lost the topsoil. They
Yeah.
learned that lesson.
Yeah.
So now here comes a new lesson. And in growing good food that's healthy for us without pesticides, without all that kind of stuff, yeah, water. The thing with food is it's going to also feed into education.
Right.
Because when children eat properly, they're going to be smarter, better, more right? And it's just again, to giving us a healthy life is great. It's just kind of a, to me, that is an issue that we're not talking about. Doctors do not take 1 3-hour course in nutrition. To maybe shift that.
Yeah, so we have, thank you. I get excited about this, but I know it's this week. And so I have a bill that puts a salad bar in every school and a food garden in every school. You can actually tie to the healthcare, the health curriculum.
Everything from our toothpaste to, I have sugar on stuff, but it's in our toothpaste. It's everything. Do anything to begin to raise awareness to get that out as fast as diabetes is in everything.
So the big process would be, one, I wanted to
That was the biggest
national
mistake.
nutrition.
Part of the night was choosing the vice president. Everybody was like, who's he?
I did a lot of questions still on there, I don't really know.
What are we talking about?
How do we pay doctors
He took Linda Johnson.
to stay healthy? So if a doctor gets paid a lot of money, we have a disease, and they take care of us, and even if it's not fixed, they keep getting paid. How do we support doctors from getting us healthy? Well, see that, I don't know how we would do it. I think you create incentives where actually doctors put money in their pocket, get reimbursed for it. Their patients are getting healthy. And there's a lot of UPS now, union company. My brother-in-law works there, and they get like $250 every quarter if they go to the gym 3 times a week and they wear the bracelet or whatever, and you can monitor. And there's all kinds of gyms popping up now. They'll actually monitor all your vitals and then just email it to your insurance company. And so you can, using technology, again, new and better, like figure out a way, and then all of a sudden people get paid to get and stay healthy so that we can free up money to take care of people who can't, for whatever reason, get healthy. And so salad bars in schools, school gardens in every school, and tie that to the health curriculum, so you're actually helping kids learn through experience and then learn about diet, nutrition, all that stuff. And then I have a bill that helps medical schools get doctors to learn about nutrition. I mean, it's hard to imagine we're sitting here in 2019 and doctors do not meet the Surgeon General's recommendation of 24 hours of nutrition education in the entirety of their they get 3 or 4, but no school meets the standard. No school meets the standard. So our doctors aren't even learning about how to keep us healthy. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I went to Ireland. Anyone ever go to Ireland? And I went to Dublin, and I went toward the Guinness factory. Irish guy from Ohio. You want to?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to the Guinness factory. They have these old advertisements up of the doctors prescribing Guinness to their patients.
Yeah.
You know, it's like back when they were smoking while they were, you know. So anyway, we got a long way to go, but let me just end with this. I really, really, really want your support. We had a really good debate the other night. We got a great response focusing on these working class issues, and we're getting a great response from the education community around our education reforms. We're getting a great response around the regenerative ag community about pushing these new ways. We can take on Trump. We're talking about the future. We're talking about new and better. And I would love to have your help and support. I know, as I said before, that people in Iowa, when it comes to presidential candidates, has commitment issues. You all do, every one of you, the whole state. I met an 8-year-old kid one time. When I stopped on honest to God, 8-year-old kid. He's looking at me like he's looking at Brad Pitt, you know, staring at me like I'm a superstar. I said, hey, how you doing? This is great. I said, you want to take a picture? He says, no, absolutely, this is great. So we took a picture. And I looked at him and I grabbed his hand. I said, you know, I'd really love to have your support. You know, we could use, my organization could really use a guy like you. And he looks up at me and he goes, I'll have to think about it. I said, what do you do to these people? No one can commit to anything. You're an 8-year-old kid.
How close are you for September?
We got a little work to do. You know, we're working on the polling. We're moving. We got a little ways to go on the contributors. Yeah, TimRunningForAmerica.com. Yeah, send me $5 or $10. Yeah, no, I want to move on. And part of it is going to be the polling piece. Part of it's going to be the low dollar donor. And as I said, like, if you look at everybody in the race, like New Jersey, New York, you know, Massachusetts, California, governors, they have these statewide national networks. Almost all of them went to Ivy League school, which they have huge networks of people. And I went to Bowling Green State University. You know? So, like, we're building it out, but we're connecting. And I think we have the message and the ideas of who the best person to take on Trump. We just got to keep rolling. So anyway, TimRunningForAmerica.com. Send me $2, $5, $10.